Alright, now we're here on episode 2 of Dishonored. Or Act 2. So last round we had 15 hostiles killed, 0 civilians killed, 0 alarms rung, 2 bodies found, high chaos. We opened the safe and we got most of the gold. Well, that's pretty good. You know, couldn't really ask for better. Hidden in an old bar on the river, your new allies have plans to share with you. Meet with the Loyalists' inner circle to learn what they've got in mind. Well, that sounds good to me.
This is the Hound Pits pub.
Hound Pits pub, eh?
Half the district marked off is dead from the plague.
Dude, this plague shit really reminds me of coronavirus, eh?
Knows and he don't know a thing.
He don't know a thing. I agree. Couldn't agree more, Samuel.
Of course, if anyone finds out what we're up to, the Watch will break in with swords drawn.
Don't worry about the watch, Samuel. The watch is child's play to
Lord
me.
Regent's going to be tearing the city apart. Take you up to meet Admiral Havelock and the rest of the Loyalists. The Admiral's a man to be reckoned with. If anyone can help you find that missing girl, Lady Emily, and clear your name, he can.
So it's starting at last.
We can continue this later, Lord Pendleton.
The man of the hour is here.
Corvo?
It's a me, Corvo.
A true servant of the Empire, like you. Until the Lord Regent
Corvo Atano, that is.
Recognize his claim on the throne.
And I'm Lord Trevor Pendleton. I represent the nobility in our little group.
Yeah, you don't even know my
We all
last
act as
name,
equals here
Havelock.
at the Hound
You
Pits
fuck.
pub.
This is a momentous occasion, Corvo. I'm going to come out with it. We've been building a
come out.
coalition of loyalists, aimed at ending the Lord Regent's tyranny and restoring the throne.
At risk of execution,
You
we're
know, I
committed
think I get the point.
to finding young
This
lady
is
Emily.
dragging on a little long.
Yes. Piero's as much an artist as a technician. He's going to be crafting the theory.
He's as much as artist as a technician, eh?
I once served under Admiral Havelock. Captain
Really?
Havelock then. I don't know if he remembers me, but I fear it's rude to ask. I don't want to embarrass him.
What a good guy, Samuel Beechworth. Wait, is this your room? How have I never noticed this?
I was just a common riverman, hauling parcels and such along the river. But I know how to keep my trap shut, I do.
Oh, that's nice. So what are you reading here? Mysteries of Pandysia? Excerpt from a book on the far continent, Pandysia. At the Academy of Natural Philosophy, they speak of the Pandysian continent as a place of wonder, where all life is entwined and blossomed across eons, producing a vibrant ecology unrivaled in the civilized world. The overseers from the Abbey of the Everyman, by contrast, talk of horror and heresies, of cults of submen engaged in brutal, perverse rituals. The few who have traveled to the far continent and come back to the Isles, those who have actually touched the soil there, have returned with notes that describe vast deserts, steep jungles, and outlandish creatures that defy belief. Once in a generation, a great effort is mounted to build a colony there, in hopes of this someday growing into a port city to rival Dunwall itself. To date, these attempts have all ended in madness and failure. Cape of Teeth map. So you wanna escape Dunwall, eh? I admire that, Samuel.
This is about as far downriver as I care to go. Toward the flooded district, the river's thick with corpses.
Thick with corpses, you say. Well, that's quite interesting, isn't it? So they have a little jail cell here. They don't want me seeing that? It's locked. Why is it locked? I bet it's Havelock's secret. He doesn't want anyone finding out
Attention, citizens of Dunwall.
about his secret jail cell.
District has been added to the evacuation list. The Weeper count for the month of C has increased. The Lord Regent
The month of
decrees that
seeds.
plague ordinances will remain in effect through the month of rain.
Month
Stay
of
alert,
rain. I like
stay
these
loyal.
names. Why don't we have names like that? Month of seeds, month of rain. I mean, that just sounds significantly more reasonable to me. This is open. This is Lydia's room. The Fugue Feast. Excerpt from a book on celebrations and holidays. At the end of every year, after the last day of the month of songs, we begin the Fugue Feast. And the new year has not started, and thus the time that follows is outside the calendar. A period of celebration and feasting begins, during which the people abandon the very practices that kept them whole and healthy over the year. Many leave their homes euphoric with spirits or potent herbs. Potent herbs? Are they talking about weed? Oh, it's like a leap year. The Fugue Feast. It's like leap day? Not leap year, leap day. Whatever it's called. Some paint their faces or wear masks to conceal themselves as they pursue their passions without reservation. Interesting. When the right cosmological signs are observed and it's time for the calendar to begin anew, the sitting high overseer calls for the hymn of atonement and the Fugue Feast ends. Families return to their homes, wives to their husbands, enemies put down their weapons, and fires are extinguished. No complaint is given for those who have wronged others, deviated from ancient codes, or discarded oaths. For this time during the astrological alignment does not exist and is not recorded. You know, this is interesting because this whole no complaint is given for those who have wronged others, and some wear masks to conceal themselves, they pursue their passion without reservation. It's almost as if they're justifying a high chaos playthrough because you wear a mask and you pursue your passions, and then afterwards you hope that the enemies will forgive you for what you've done. Like Havelock will forgive you for what you've done. I've already read this. I already read that shit. Called the Spheres. My stomach twisted as the engines of the odd vessel roared louder. It was the creation of Orcada, third prefect from the Academy of Natural Philosophy. He was exhilarated, savoring each of the small craft's undulations. Orcado pulled a lever, and a great gout of smoke surrounded us. The smell of burning whale oil grew unbearable as the machine propelled itself upward. I was too afraid to look through the window, which suddenly didn't feel thick enough. As if knowing my thoughts, Overseer Brine looked at me and smiled. Recite some of the litany, my pupil. It'll protect your heart from the turpitude of the void on our way to the outer spheres. Well, that's cool, I guess. I guess that's pretty cool. How's my audio doing? Well, we got another view, so can't complain. Certainly can't complain as long as we're getting views. I mean, I'm not surprised if, I certainly can't blame anyone for leaving. I mean, I'm certainly not doing anything too interesting in this episode.
I'll be crafting your
I don't care. I've already seen this so many times. How do you know what you're gonna say?
Careful. Oil's unstable. When it explodes, there's terrible news.
The Academy teaches that absurd idea that the energy in whale oil arises from the need to main.
Sokolov no longer has the upper hand with regard to the supplies of whale oil. The good admiral has paid for the installation of my own system, which will enable me to work in this place. The oil tank dispenser, when activated, will produce an empty vessel for filling. When the empty tank is held near the oil tank refill pump, a magnetic attractor should take the tank and lock into the correct configuration. Using the lever will begin the refilling process. Once refilling is completed, the tank can be removed and placed in service. Extreme caution must be used in handling the full tanks. They are quite unstable. The system is sound and well engineered. It appears that the Greece oil company has done something correctly for once.
Life functions.
Out at sea, they secure the beast with hooks with lines cast from the main ship and from several smaller boats. Buoys keep the whale from diving deep. Once it's caught, a larger hook is driven through the tail, which is used to hoist the creature up through the chute. They moan and bellow for some time as the men get them onto the deck, then lift them into the scaffolding overhead. The ship adjusts its prow and returns to the port. Dunwall with the crew works on the great creature, slicing off the fattiest parts while it still lives. Remarkably, each specimen I had the pleasure of studying during the voyage possessed some minor variants in physiology. On the second leg of the trip, Issa Tivia, the crew, hauled aboard a female, some 42 inches in length, some 42 feet in length. 42-foot whale. I estimate she weighed 35 tons, and the ship sat low, rocking side to side through the night with her thrashing. By candlelight, I took her apart, sketching and taking notes. Against her bellowing, I cut into the massive tentacles around her mouth. Within, I found row of teeth and baleen running along the upper jaw. Through this broom-like structure, I assumed she filtered food from the water that was too small to be chewed.
The pressure and the cold are too much.
Commissioned by Lord Regent, in the face of the growing plague crisis, the dead counter is a position that will only be given to officers, usually of junior middle grades. In most matter of edict or curfew enforcement, these officers will defer to the acting officer on duty. However, any dead counter will have command in situations related to the plague and the handling of the dead, including those with late-stage plague symptoms called weepers in common parlance. Starting in the month of rain, interested officers may apply for the test, and if accepted, the 2-week training tour. Pay will be administered in coin and rations of elixir at 1.5 normal pay grade.
Without it.
Of course, I have attempted to improve upon Sokolov's designs. Of course, and why not? After all, it is likely that his thinking was influenced in some way by our time together at the Academy. We are all part of a community striving to unknot the mysteries of the cosmos. Even those among us who possess the greatest minds are often led to a fruitful line of consideration by, how does one say it, our intellectual subordinates. Sokolov is no exception to this, despite the glamour of genius he has cast over the aristocracy. Further, it is true that many of my experiments have failed. No need to gossip about it behind my back and in your social clubs, and in the very chambers of the Academy itself. Great ambition requires risks. You may laugh now at my door to nowhere, but someday you will not. Your children will likely see it as commonly as you see the electric lamps lighting our streets at night. But a few short years ago, you would have laughed at Sokolov's arc pylon or wall of light. Your laughter, your condescending smiles, they are nothing but evidence of your own limited imagination. That's a good point. I mean, you should never feel ashamed for failing an experiment. I agree. Piero, no, I will not sign off on these purchases. A bag of powdered crystal, Tivian ore? What's wrong with the metals and crystal? King Sparrow feathers? If you need feathers, sacrifice your own pillow. Maybe at the Academy everything you needed was paid by tariff and handed out willy-nilly, but this is my bar, what's left of it, and we're operating on a budget. We're running low on oil, food, elixir, building materials, and everything else, so you've got to slow down. While I'm footing the bill, I would not approve your purchases unless they're absolutely required. No more copper wire or special herbs. If you need those things, go out and scavenge them. Half the city is in ruins, so no one is going to miss any of the odd crap you seem to need. Admiral Havelock.
Build a tank that would slowly...
The second solution. It is through no fault of my own that the average citizen has expressed a preference for Sokolov's elixir of my own formula, sold as Piero's remedy, a name I did not choose, if you must know the truth. The public has spoken its usual message of idiocy, spending their coin as a means of selecting Sokolov's formula over mine, which I believe to be equal, if not superior. Much has been made over the popularity of these concoctions as a mean of resisting this remarkable new plague. I say remarkable because this strain works with an efficiency we have not seen in the history of the Empire. This plague, now making its way through the city of Dunwall, is unrivaled in its effectiveness. I've studied it within the blood of those so afflicted, and it is nearly perfect, elegant, in fact. While it is true that Pierre's remedy and Sokolov's elixir are known to protect the body against a plague equally, my own has properties not fully understood which relate to the mind itself and the spirit. It is in this way that my formula wins out. Here is where one should pay attention to this contest. If you see Sokolov's elixir with its emphasis on the brute animal body, is a cross goo better suited for livestock. The subtle and secret variants in key ingredients making up Piero's remedy and see that it works on the higher functions that separate mankind from the mindless blue-jawed hagfish swimming in the Wrenhaven River.
Place pressure on a subject over a long period of time and then observe them for years if need be to see if the formulation of energetic substance is developed.
Perfect.
Surely the
Now
Empress
plug it
will
in.
be able to.
Perfect. Thank you, Cole. Tell me what I can make for you.
Yes. Sword crossing. Coal capacity. Bullet capacity. Thank you, Piero.
You must be exhausted. I advise that you get some sleep. Your life will get even more difficult soon. You should rest while you can.
Alright, thanks, buddy.
Very well. You know best. Let me know if you need anything more.
Damn, what a nice guy.
Tell me what I can make for you.
Unfortunately, I have no money left, so I'm sorry.
Yes, very much so, but no need to fear. He is here to work with our masters.
People say he killed the Empress.
Of course he
I
did.
did not kill the Empress.
People are foolish and believe whatever they're told.
Okay. If the Admiral trusts him, then so will I.
So what are you saying?
The Admiral served in the Navy under the Empress. But something happened with the Lord Regent that drove the Admiral out. If I understand it right.
Okay, thanks, Cecilia. How are you doing, Wallace?
Please follow me to your quarters.
Is that all you have to say to me, Wallace? I know how to find my quarters, Wallace. I don't need you to show me.
This is your room. It was chosen to give you privacy. I understand you'll need your rest.
Okay, thanks, Wallace. But I have to explore the rest of this building first, and then I'm gonna end this Act 2 before the next segment of the game, before I go to sleep. What's up?
Pleased to meet you, Master Corvo. I saw you at court in happier days, but you might not remember.
No.
I was once a close ally to the Lord Regent, Hiram Burroughs, back when he was just the spy master. He's one manipulative bastard, I can tell you that. There's something distinguished about you, Corvo. Was there nobility back in your family line? I wouldn't be surprised.
Wow, he really believes in genetics that strongly?
My furnishings have been installed at last with no small amount of complaining by that antiquated boatman. The others have no idea what it's like to suffer as I have. Speaking of which, Wallace, please breathe 2 bottles of Dunwall Red, never mind which, and fetch a clean glass. Well, I'll begin again tomorrow.
Wow, what a whiny bitch. No one knows suffering as I have. How do you know? How do you know Samuel hasn't suffered, you know? How do you know Havelock hasn't suffered, you know? Pauper Master Rune Key. Interesting. A Gaffer's Tale, Volume 1. My sister Nina and I left Tivia together, saying goodbye to our aunt, the woman who had raised us since childhood. Leaving behind our home city of Yarrow and the cold but beautiful white landscapes we had always known, we boarded a ship for Dunwall. Our parents had left us with a sizable inheritance, and we spent half of this getting to the capital city and establishing a small import shop dedicated to Tivian furs. Once I'd helped Nina establish the business, I was free to pursue my dream. Signing on with the whaling ship was the most exciting thing I'd ever done, and I saw it as a means to an end. Someday I would captain my own ship and eventually own a fleet of similar vessels. With tears in her eyes, Nina kissed me farewell, and I did not see her again for many months. As an apprentice to the gaffer, I got to see the tracking and killing of the great beasts up close. Nothing had ever fired my spirit so as the wind and pounding waves racing after a wounded whale being pulled by a skein of cables embedded in its thick flesh. I changed more in those first 7 months than I had in the previous 7 years. Whaling was beginning to put its mark on me so that Nina barely recognized me when I returned, hand and sinewy, with muscle, weather creases already wrinkling the corners of my eyes. But she could see that I was filled with joy, having found my purpose. Admiralty in the Fleet. While each of the Isles have some form of naval fleet, none is more envied than that of Bristol, with its long proud history of great ships and the admirals who command them. Boys come of age in the seas of Bristol, hoping to someday captain such a ship, and family dynasties are made by those captains who track down infamous pirates or crush seditious uprisings, as during the Morley insurrection. In times of war and peace, Bristol continues to innovate at sea. The ship designs of Anton Sokolov himself now represent the highest standard in the whaling trade, allowing crews to haul their kill up over the deck and begin their butchery and processing, even as the ship returns to Dunwall. The crews can be seen working on their latest whale as the ship moves slowly up the Wrenhaven River, coming to dock with one of the most powerful whalehouse companies, such as the Greaves Whaling House. Suspended in the rigging overhead and backlit by the setting sun, the silhouette of one of these creatures makes a moving sight as it returns to the final resting place in the industrial heart of the capital city. God, that was a mouthful.
Log entry 1-4. Seems we've moved to a new phase. Martin's improvisations have borne fruit. The former bodyguard has been freed and is en route to staging location. Pendleton's voting block and my military connections. All we've lacked is the ability to project lethal force in a controlled manner against a previously inaccessible... to the point, we need a man who can kill the bastards for us. Corvo is more than capable of that, I have no doubt. And Bob. It's off. Switch. Switch where the hell is them?
Okay, so Havelock does want me to kill them. It's good to know. It's been days since our men were dispatched to stash weapons with Corvo in the old sewer. They have not returned, so I can only hope they succeed in getting the packages delivered. Piero spent considerable time and resources making those things. If I could find a way to mass produce them, the Dunwall Navy would secure its place as a dominant force in the globe. But back to Corvo. Can he actually break out of Coldridge, and if so, will he make his way here? I personally give him odds of 1 in 5. So he underestimated me quite a bit. But now he's probably fucking afraid of me now that he knows I escaped.
Do not attempt to house or care for a friend or family member who shows signs of blood on their face and chest area.
You could only
The
be
only way to
Corvo.
help them
I
is to
suppose
bring
you're
them to the city
practicing
walls.
for your...
They will be
well,
taken to
your
the flooded
job.
district for
You're much
treatment.
younger than I expected. Do make yourself at home. Terrible you got blamed for the death of the Empress. Rest her spirit.
I love Lydia.
I'm sorry it's so dark. We can't risk being seen. It is a bit romantic, though, isn't it?
Romantic, you say?
I used to be the hostess here. Oh, I could tell you stories about that, believe me.
Well, I do like romance.
You can call on Cecilia for the more menial tasks. It's what she's suited for.
Well, that was rude.
I hope the bed's to your liking. Let me know if you have trouble sleeping.
I am having trouble sleeping. I think I would like you to join me. And I say to you, brothers, it is here that we make our stand as a righteous force against the growing darkness. It is here that we unite against the spirits of the unknown that would drag us screaming into the night, never to return to our homes, to our families. Together we will serve as a rod to those who would stray from the herd, for the foggy gray wastes of the outsider. We will burn a bright fire with our virtuous actions so that others will not lose their way. And to those who choose to wander beyond the walls of our homes in far places, we will strike at them swiftly before they whisper to their neighbors, filling their hearts with strangeness and doubt.
Attention, Dunwall citizens. Be advised, the river crust infestation has spread downriver, as far as the river mouth and flooded district. Do not attempt to approach or destroy a river crust. Any items recovered from doing so are considered state property.
Harpooner songs. What will we do with the drunken whaler? What will we do with the drunken whaler? What will we do with the drunken whaler? Early in the morning. Feed him to the hungry rats for dinner. Feed him to the hungry rats for dinner. Feed him to the hungry rats for dinner. Early in the morning. Way hey, up she rises. Way hey, up she rises. Way hey, up she rises. Early in the morning. Slice his throat with a rusty cleaver. Slice his throat with a rusty cleaver. Slice his throat with a rusty cleaver. Early in the morning. Stuff him in a sack and throw him over. Stuff him in a sack and throw him over. Stuff him in a sack and throw him over. Early in the morning. Way up she rises. Way up she rises. Way up she rises. Early in the morning. Finding my way by the feeble light of the dying fire, I saw her working. A large needle moved in her hands, following precise esoteric patterns. Knots and loops of seamstress craft from the ancient days. Beneath her needle, his body clenched and shuddered, shaking the wooden table. A morbid fascination pushed me closer, until she turned her blank face toward me, resting the needle in his flesh. With a refined tone, she addressed me. "So you are the lover, I presume. You too have been unfaithful, and it is now your turn to be mended." Well, that's disturbing. Lord Nathan Boyle, shaking with outrage. "How dare you, sir, clothe so in my very home? I should hand you over to the watch, depraved Tibian." Prince Calasar moving closer. "That's a harsh welcome for royalty, my lord. Your daughter treated me with much more hospitality. Alas, she has gone out for the evening, leaving me all alone." Lord Nathan Boyle, stammering, studying the younger man before him. "What are you doing? Leave this house. Go back to your frozen wasteland, pale rascal." Prince Calasar, smiling coyly, reaching out. "No need for anger between us, Lord Boyle. Is it so wrong for me to be here, as I've proven I've developed an affinity for you and your family?" Lord Nathan Boyle, gasping. "Oh my, Calasar, your skin is so warm, it burns." Well, that is very homoerotic. After more than a quarter of a century, I'm done with whaling. Too broken to continue. I've seen all the corners of the Isles, and made much more coin than most men see in a lifetime. But it's all gone. I've lived through an emperor and watched his daughter take the throne. Very young empress she was, but slain so young. Everything beautiful comes to die. I've eaten in every port of the known world, and sailed in the loneliest waters you can imagine. I've seen the cliffs around Pandysia. Even the best of it doesn't give me an ounce of joy. The years come back across my dreams as a line of butchered bodies, long, sleek, and singing among the waves under the moonlight, only to be speared by ugly, weather-scarred men who knife each other for a good pair of boots. Each year I had less time to come home. My tongue forgot the natural language of small chatter, and those who lived in the cities caught me odd. My sister Nina hardly knew what to say to me during our visits. When she lost her business to the Lord Regent's crooked barrister, I was 100 miles east of Morley, gaff-hat and frozen from the sleet as we tracked the first bull whale we'd seen in months. I helped her as much as I could, but Nina died in the early days of the plague. None of it mattered. If I'm jaded and bitter, it's because this industry has taken away my dreams. The world has beaten me. Okay, I think it's time to go to bed. I'm getting quite sleepy in game and in real life. Excuse me, Lydia. This is my bedroom. What are you doing in here? What are you doing in here with that fine ass? Damn. Damn, Lydia. Just say it be that way. Alright, I'm ending this episode here. I'm gonna end the stream as well.